Good afternoon here on Facebook Live on KLGR Ag as we're getting ready to start the Midday Farm Show here, broadcasting from the Minnesota State Cattlemens booth. We'll be talking with, of course, we'll have the Beef News and Notes program. Mike Landon will be filling in today for Mark. His guest will be Ashley Coles, Executive Director of the State Cattlemens. We'll also, hopefully, we're waiting to hear if Bev Durkin is going to be coming over from the extension. We'll talk with her as well. Central Livestock coming up as we get ready to go here, both on KLGR 1490 AM, FM 95.9, and here on Facebook Live. As we get ready to get going, I'll do the intro, and then I will have Minnesota State Cattlemens President Chris Wollum joining me here in just a few minutes as well. As we will, like I said, we'll bridge the gap between what's going on the air and what's going on Facebook Live. Here on day 2 of Farmfest 2017 at the Gilfil in the States. And as long as we're here, we're going to thank some of our sponsors making these things possible, including Ag Country Farm Credit Services, Farmers Union Industries, Integrity Bank Plus in Mobasto and Walnut Grove, Oberlo Accounting Office, Estebo, Frank, Munschauer and Geist Limited, Cardall Insurance Agency, and the Wanda State Bank. Again, making these coverage possible here right at the Minnesota State Cattlemens tent. We'll be getting going here on the radio in just a moment as well, as soon as I hear back from Tobin. Good afternoon, KLGR 1490 AM and FM 95.9 and on Facebook Live. Dustin here for the Midday Farm Show, coming to you from the Gilfil in the States at the Farmfest 2017 out here at the Minnesota State Cattlemens tent. Coming up, we'll have your check of markets and your ag weather forecast. Tobin will have that for you back at the studio. Then we'll come out here, Beef News and Notes. Mike Landon filling in for Mark Malachek today. His guest will be Ashley Coles, Executive Director of the Minnesota State Cattlemens Association. We're also hoping to get Bev Durkin on from the University of Minnesota Extension. She's the dean up there. And we'll do all that, have Central Livestock and more here on the Farm Show on KLGR. So stay tuned. All right, as we're clear right now on Facebook Live and on the radio station, I want to welcome Chris Wollum up here. He is the president of the Minnesota State Cattlemens Association. Chris, just a few weeks removed from the State Cattlemens tour. You know, we heard a lot of good things, a lot of good recap when you were on Beef News a couple weeks ago. You know, now what are we looking at getting geared up for the next part of the year?
Well, let's get through Farmfest here. We've got 3 busy days of trying to serve some of the biggest sandwiches that you can get on the grounds. And then after that, we're going to just continue to watch some of our political issues and get ready for our convention. And
political issues definitely being something we're watching. Some news coming in yesterday. Yeah, it wasn't quite what we were hoping to hear, but, you know, it's kind of what was expected, too.
Well, if you're talking about the Wolf court case, that's right. And so I've been, you know, my point on this is today and yesterday is, you know, we have an Endangered Species Act in place, and it has a set parameters of how that should work.
Right.
And it has worked, and they've shown that, you know, we've recovered our populations, and in the way that the Endangered Species Act is written, at that point it needs to be delisted and put back in control of the state. And if we can't follow the rules of the Endangered Species Act, why do we even have it?
Right. And so now with the Supreme Court kind of saying, putting the kibosh on it, so now it's going to be a matter of trying to get legislation through Congress, correct?
Right. Yep. We need to make sure we talk to our legislators and tell them the importance. And on the other side of it, we need to let the environmental people know that are concerned about the wolves that we're not out there to try. We don't want to kill all the wolves.
Right.
We just want our producers to be able to have a way to protect their livelihood. Right. So that's the important part that we want to get out to them and to let them know that, you know, it's costing our producers a lot of money. You know, when they lose a calf, it's not just a calf; it's also affecting the long-term mental health of the cow. You know, she's scared, she's skittish, and it's a traumatic event for her.
Yeah. And also now, as we're out here at Farmfest, you know, have these sandwiches out here in the great booth you got going on. What are you hearing from some of those cattle producers or even farmers in general? I mean, there's some things we all share together, whether it's crop farming or anything else. What kind of things are you hearing that you're able to maybe say, hey, when you're talking to legislatures, this is what I'm hearing from people?
Well, I guess, you know, regulations are kind of a big one. We've got a lot of regulations already. Let's slow down a little bit and let's let us operate, and let's see if some of these rules that we've been forced to take part of, let's see if it actually works before we keep throwing new ones at us. So, you know, part of this stems to the nitrogen rule. and kind of them limiting our ability to apply nitrogen at certain times of the year on certain soils. And let's make sure before we go about this, let's have the sound science to make sure what they're trying to do is actually going to help and I'm not sure if they've done enough research and have enough science to know that. So that's one thing, and with prices being bad, it's always
I hear you.
tough to handle.
How much time do you have? You already do weather? I'll let you do weather, and then I'll just keep going, okay? All right, thanks. I'll keep it up so I can hear where you're at, too, okay? All right, thanks. So, I'm sorry. Checking back in with the studio.
That's all right.
So, yeah, again, definitely some issues to take to the legislature. I know, whether it's been, livestock producers, row crop farmers, health insurance has been one thing everybody's been worrying about. People see it, they don't realize that when farmers are their own business, they're the ones that have to provide for it. They don't have a company plan that they can just, sign on to.
Right, we're self-employed, so we have to go out there on the market on our own and pay the high premiums that have resulted from some of these new healthcare laws. So it definitely hurts us, and a lot of people that are out farming, their wives are probably either self-employed or working at the farm too. So it's almost forcing some of these people to send their spouses to town to get a job to try to hopefully get affordable health insurance, and that's what this whole thing was supposed to be, was an Affordable Health Care Act, and it doesn't seem like it's worked out that way. Yeah, and a lot of people are nervous what could be replacing. A lot of people are worried about what we already have. It comes down to, let's take a look at both sides of both issues and see. I mean, obviously there are things that work and what's running right now. There are things that need to be improved, and that's what people are saying. Let's just take it apart and look at what we can change. Yeah, and I think that that's kind of been the attitude they've shifted gears towards a little bit. Is we don't have to get rid of the whole thing, but yeah, let's keep the things that are working and try to fix the ones that aren't. So, and if we can do that, hopefully we can get both sides of the party lines to work together and get something put together. All right. Well, Chris, let's remind the people again to come on out here and enjoy definitely a nice, healthy beef sandwich out here. That's right. We got 2,000 pounds of meat here, and we want to make sure we get it all gone. So we're gonna load up the buns and make sure you go away happy. All right. Well, Chris, I thank you very much for taking the time to visit with us. You bet. Thank you. All right. That's Chris Willem. He is the president of the Minnesota State Cattlemens Association. As we continue on the Farm Show here on KLGR 1490 AM, FM 95.9, as we'll be moving that back in just a second. We're still with you here on Facebook Live, and I believe I've got Kevin Papp waiting in the wings here in just a minute. We'll have him on first. And then I have Bev Durgan from the University of Minnesota Extension. We'll have lots of stuff going on here, so we'll keep you rolling right along here on Facebook Live. As Kevin, you made your debut today on Facebook Live. How are you liking that so far?
Well, it was my first debut, so I don't know. You said I did okay.
You did well. With Zippy was carrying the both of us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we'll be having Kevin on in just a minute. And, of course, our sponsors make all this possible, and they include Lesage Reynolds and Walter Limited, Redwood Tire Service, Syngenta Seeds with Golden Harvest Corn and NK Soybeans, K&S Millwrights, and NS Bed Seeds. All right, now we're getting the weather forecast, and it sounds like we might hopefully be getting some rain. Not often we enjoy rain at a farm show, but right now I think we'll take what we can get when we can get it.
Everybody talks about the weather when you get farmers together. Rain's an important part of that. If we get a little rain, we'll just adjust. That's what agriculture is about, is adjusting.
Yeah. And we're not near as bad off as we go out to the Dakotas, Nebraska. I've heard that if they aren't irrigating right now, they're done. And so you hear about that and you think we could use some rain, but we're not as bad off as some are.
When they're cutting a crop instead of taking it for grain, and you're getting 1 bale per acre, that's not a very good stand. Yeah. So we certainly feel for them.
Yeah, and definitely, you hear about these cattle producers that are just starting to recover from, for example, like that big blizzard they had in South Dakota, starting to get those herds built back up, and now they're looking at a drought, and how are they going to feed them? It's just one of those things you deal with farming, like we always have said, we get to hit the reset button again next year.
Yep, and you adjust. I appreciate the Department of Agriculture getting involved, Department of Transportation, the governor's office with the executive order, so we can get some help to them and get that hay hauled is what they need.
And that's been a good thing to say. It speaks to the people of Minnesota, how they're willing to haul hay to the Dakotas to help feed them. How when they had these wildfires earlier this year, the farmers and agriculture here jumping in and doing that job and saying, hey, we can help you out. Let's just work together.
For many, many generations, farmers have learned working with your neighbors works. So you work probably the closest with your closest neighbors, but we're all neighbors. And when you have issues like that, whether it's out west, down south, the fires, all those types of things, that's when ag really pulls together and works together. Working together works.
All right, we're going to be going live here on KLGR AM 1490 and FM 95.9 in just a moment, right after we get through this message. And Kevin, again, thank you for joining us this morning as well on Facebook, and again now here this noon during the Midday Farm Show. And of course, enjoy having you on here. and we'll be talking on the live here in just a moment. But enjoy you having the time to take out of your very busy schedule here during this time.
Well, this is a great event that you see a lot of people involved in agriculture. Good time to get updated on things going on, but there's a lot of stuff going on. But Cattlemen are doing a great job here. It's nice to see the line all the way around. Everybody's promoting their product.
All right. Tobin, how much time do I got? About done here, so we'll be going on in just a moment here. On Facebook Live as well, KLGR 1490 AM and FM 95.9 here on the Farm Show. I'm waiting for word that we're live on the radio. Okay, can we go now? I need to go now. Standing by. I don't want to keep Kevin waiting. 20 seconds, okay. I'll do this interview quick, and then we'll burn another ad or two, and then I'll bring in Bev, and then we'll do another ad, and then we'll get beef news on, okay? All right, thanks. Lots to manage when you got 8 miles away, you know.
Yeah.
So close yet so far, you know, sometimes.
Exactly.
Coming up also on the Farm Show, also coming up on KLGR, we'll be interviewing Senator Klobuchar at the same time. Back on KLGR 1490 AM and FM 95.9, I was just mentioning to the Facebook Live visitors, Senator Klobuchar will be joining me for an interview coming up at around 1:15 here today. But right now we have Minnesota Farm Bureau President Kevin Papp joining us here on the Farm Show. Kevin, I know you're really busy right now, busy time of year at Farmfest, but definitely a good turnout here.
This is a great turnout. Farm Bureau Day, we started pancakes this morning, got pork chops here at the beef tent. They got great steaks here, so good time to not only have great things to eat, Minnesota products, but also talk Minnesota issues.
And, you know, we had American Farm Bureau President Zippy Duvall on with you here this morning on Facebook Live, and we were talking about some of the things that were going on, whether it's WOTUS, whether it's the Farm Bill. The main message you're trying to get out to the farmers is get engaged and get your voices heard now, because they're taking your opinions on things.
Absolutely. You know, we like to talk about in Farm Bureau, if you're not at the table, you'll be on the menu. And we got to be at the table, got to be engaged, talk to the people here, talk to the folks back in your own communities.
Now, right now, the EPA has that 30-day opinion, or the listening, or whatever you want to call it, on the repeal of WOTUS. And, you know, like you said this morning, you know everybody on the other side of WOTUS is going to be making their opinions heard.
Absolutely. It's a numbers game many times, and we're not repealing the Clean Water Act. We just need to change the definition of waters of the U.S. Make that clear. Make sure it's navigable waters and not all water. You know, WOTUS, it really is waters of the U.S. It's not water. So it's not made for all water, just those involved in transportation, interstate commerce.
You know, a lot of people were concerned. What does this mean if I have, you know, just a wet hole out in the bean field somewhere? Is this going to be regulated? Are they going to tell me how I have to manage it? And then for some people, that ended up being the case.
And that was really the issue with the proposed rule. It wasn't about water quality. It was about controlling the land use, telling you what you can and can't do, how to farm it, when to farm it, what type of farming to do. So we want a rule that's workable not only for water quality, but workable for those landowners.
So we got a couple more forums coming up today, and of course the big one tomorrow with the House Ag Committee coming in. Congressman Peterson, the ranking member, Chairman Conway will be here. I think it's definitely what we're saying. If you haven't been out here, now is definitely the time to come out tomorrow and get your opinions out there and let these people hear it during this listening session.
Absolutely. You know, listeners are close and can do that. I think a lot of people don't realize how big a deal this is. Mm-hmm. Having the ranking member, we have that all the time with Mr. Peterson, but having the chairman of the Ag Committee and then multiple members of the Ag Committee from other states as well. Here, this is a big deal. This is only one of 5 or 6 hearings they're doing. It's right here in our backyard. You need to show up at Farmfest tomorrow. Exactly.
I mean, you and I, we get to talk to them quite often, but not often do the general public get that chance, and they need to hear from you. Absolutely. And these subcommittee members, I'm willing to bet this will be the first time they've maybe been in Minnesota as an Ag Committee member. Mm-hmm. Well, Kevin, I thank you very much for visiting with us here today. And we know we got a lot of stuff to get to, so we appreciate it. And again, appreciate you being on again this morning. Thank you. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. All right. That's Kevin Papp. He's president of the Minnesota Farm Bureau here on KLGR. We'll be back in about a minute with Bev Durgan from the University of Minnesota Extension. Tobin, it's all yours for about a minute. Perfect. JD, you're not. No, that's his work. Anyway, Facebook Live, and we're welcoming Bev Durgan in here in just a second. Facebook Live. Dean Durgan, come on over. Welcome to the,
hey,
how
show.
Are you? Good, yourself?
I'm doing well, thanks.
We're going to bring this down so we can get everybody involved here. I'm a little close today.
Oh,
okay, I don't
here we are.
Don't make you They don't need to see me,
They
right?
can see the top of my head. That'll be good.
We'll do this. How's that sound?
Okay, great.
All right, so, lots of things going on at the extension that we're getting ready to talk about here today. A lot of the programs, we're definitely trying to encourage farmers, as we're just talking on Facebook right now, to come out. If you're not going to be able to make it today, come out tomorrow. Especially with the ag listening sessions and all that. Come on out and see what the extension can help you with and get information that you need as a farmer.
Right, and it's really important tomorrow around the discussion around the new farm bill, and that affects every single one of us. It affects all the farmers, and it also affects extension. We receive 15% of our budget through the federal government through the farm bill, and so it's very important for all of us to be thinking about that farm bill and really where that farm bill is going to be going.
All right, we're back on KLGR 1490 AM, FM 95.9, and Facebook Live as we continue the farm show here live from the State Cattlemens tent. And right now I have the privilege of being joined by University of Minnesota Dean of the Extension, Bev Durgan. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a great day here at Farmfest. We have a nice breeze.
Yeah, I know, that just popped up.
Great.
We can take that, yeah. So as we get ready to talk here, first of all, we talked a little bit yesterday with your the biohazard, the trailer you have out there. Great program you guys have there to help people get prepared and trained for what to do in that kind of a situation.
Yes, unfortunately the funding for this trailer came after we had the high-path avian influenza, but this is really something that all growers are concerned about, not just poultry, swine, and even beef are thinking about how do we make sure that we are protecting our livestock and doing the right thing and training our workers. So this is a great mobile trailer that can really talk about not how to do it, but also the importance of doing it.
It was a great thing that people maybe didn't always realize when we had the high pathogen avian influenza breakout. The turkey growers got a lot of help from the pork producers who said, okay, now this is what we're doing to help slow, the spread of these kind of diseases. Maybe this will work for you, and you see that collaboration between the commodities.
Well, absolutely, and I think one of the great things about agriculture is that we learn from each other. So pork had to go through it, unfortunately. Poultry did, but also, now we have, issues around, that we could look at backyard chickens that we're thinking about,
Exactly.
and also around beef. We want to make sure that we're trying to protect all of our livestock. So, and I think that's the great key about this type of event is people can interact where you may not interact with a pork producer, but this is an event that you can do that.
So now the University of Minnesota Extension at their tent here, you guys have got a whole host of things, not just, that trailer. You've got garden experts here to talk about things in your gardens. You've got crop people here to talk about, different weeds and stuff. A whole host of information for people out there.
Right. The Farmfest is at a great time of the year because everything's been planted. We're now looking at the crop, and now we're going to go into harvest. And so we can say, okay, what happened, earlier, where is it going to move forward? So we have people talking about weed management. Weed management was a big issue this year with all the resistance. And, of course, our master gardeners. People are more concerned about pollinators and what that means. And so to be able to talk about controlling insects, but also keeping your pollinators safe. And that is an important part now of the overall managing the landscape.
And now as we look ahead past Farmfest, on the extension front, what kind of things are we going to be trying to get out to talk to the farmers about?
So one thing that we are concerned about and thinking about is the commodity prices. We see all this corn, soybeans around here, but some of it is not worth as much as it costs to put it in the ground.
Right.
And so we're working with our Center for Farm Financial Management and really helping growers, make some decisions about, whether you're going to market that crop, whether you're going to keep it. And also we're working hard with the bankers associations to be thinking about how we're going to make sure that we keep these farmers farming in this. And I was talking earlier, it's kind of a silent phase now of, there are some growers that are in some pretty serious financial trouble, but we're not really talking about it.
Right.
It seems like it's like, well, why aren't we? And I think we need to talk more about that. This is a situation where we all need to be thinking about and how do we make sure that people can stay here on the farm.
We had Commissioner Frederickson on yesterday, and he said one thing, the U.S. Department of Ag, all the ag groups, extension, everybody's realizing that not only is the commodity prices causing financial hardship, it's starting to cause stress on farmers to a level where it's affecting their mental health, their physical health. And like you said, not talking about it is not a good thing, and these people are they're trying to show there's resources out there to help you.
Right, and in the 80s, I think everybody was talking about it. Everybody, prices were affecting everybody. Now, as I said, it's kind of silent, and we've been working with the Department of Ag and working with others to really make sure that farmers that are feeling that stress, that mental stress, have somebody to talk to. Because that's the worst, is you kind of think you're in this by yourself, and there are ways that we can help them make decisions, because decisions are going to have to be made.
All right. Well, Bev, I appreciate you taking the time to visit with us here on the Farm Show, as always, and look forward to talking to you again here throughout Farmfest and getting over to the Extension tent.
Great, thank you.
All right, that's Dean Bev
Appreciate it.
Durgan of
Thank
the
you.
University of Minnesota Extension here on KLGR 1490 AM, FM 95.9, and Facebook Live at facebook.com/KLGR Ag. We'll be back. Beef News and Notes program coming up in about 30 seconds. Thank you very much. All right, those of you here at the Facebook Live, Cattlemen are getting ready. Mike Landit and Ashley Cole's coming over as we get them ready here for Beef News and Notes. The first televised, well, sort of televised Beef News and Notes. And now Ashley won't come in front of the camera. We're going to lower it down for Ashley. Do we have a booster seat for Ashley? Okay, Landit, come on in. You're in too. As we're getting set, standing by.
How's this? No?
Works. Well, actually, it was probably better. KLGR 1490 AM, FM 95.9, Facebook Live as well, as we are joined for the Beef News and Notes program. And Mark's not here, guys. Come on, you can be excited. It's all right.
I was just reading my reminder text that Mark said to be here. So
Yeah, okay.
filling in a spot.
So Mike Landit is going to host, so I will let you just kind of take it away. And Ashley Coles, the executive director, is the guest today on the first broadcasted on the internet, even Beef News and Notes.
We're live, Ashley. How's it going out front there?
It's going really well. So we're behind where all the action is happening, unfortunately. But the line for the Cattlemen's beef tent here, hasn't been up to the tent yet. I mean, it's way down the road. Constant now for going on almost 2 hours. So we're pretty excited about the beautiful day, the great crowd, and all the happy people eating a good roast beef sandwich. And here's a fun fact. We were doing some timing, just joking around, and our crew out there is serving a roast beef sandwich about every 6 seconds. So
That's impressive.
They're pushing the roast beef sandwiches through, so the line may look long, but you get through pretty quickly.
Yeah, even though there's a line out there, they're honking right through, and like you said, every 6 seconds. I know you're doing some other figuring, and we're halfway through day 2 here. How many gallons of pickles have you said we've gone through already?
Yeah, absolutely. So they just dumped out the last of gallon number 25
Wow.
for our pickles here. So we haven't calculated the barbecue sauce that we've gone through. Yesterday we went through 8 gallons, and we're going to surpass that today. So we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, there's a nice crowd here today. It's good to see everybody coming through. Anything we want to add?
Well,
No.
I was going to say, with the cattlemen and the producers that you were talking to here today, I mean, what's on their minds as this is your chance to really get face-to-face and get FaceTime with them. What's on their minds as they're at FarmFest right now?
That's a fantastic question. So when it comes to our association, we have 2 summer flagship programs where we get the opportunity to network with just our cattlemen and producers, and so this is one of them. So it's fun to stand in line and talk to people, sit down next to people at the table, and just, hey, what's on your mind? And a lot of folks are talking about crop conditions right now. They're also talking about our friends over in the Dakotas who are struggling with some drought issues, and how we feel pretty fortunate that sometimes we're having struggles getting hay put up because it's too wet. So I mean, a lot of that discussion going on. If people are excited about the Farm Bill hearing tomorrow, I was pleasantly surprised in how many people are really excited about going to that and are going to come back specifically for that. So they're talking about specific livestock and cattle focused issues that we'd like to see in the Farm Bill. So those are things that we're talking about.
One thing I think it speaks to being at FarmFest is when you're here, you're sitting here, you're talking to the beef producers, but you're also hearing things from people who aren't beef producers. And even like yesterday, you have the pork producers coming over to eat beef, but you're talking about the common ground and the things that you guys are trying to work on for both the producers and on different aspects of livestock, or even corn rows and stuff like that, where you guys can work together to help each other out in the legislature.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of pride ourselves in working well with other proteins, although we do still claim beef as a superior protein. We do work well with other proteins.
You play well with others?
We try to.
Okay.
But it's nice to have, like you said, the pork producers come over and have a roast beef sandwich and sit down and catch up with them. It's an opportunity for us to do that as well, with members and other cattle producers and other ag organizations, and having that discussion about Farm Bill priorities that encompass all of livestock, not just cattle or pigs. That's something that we can do to help the gamut when it comes to livestock. There are some diseases like foot and mouth disease that will impact all of them. And so making sure that we're all on the same page and having the same asks so there's that consistent message going forward.
it's definitely one of those things that we've always said that, you know, if we all don't work together, we're going to hang separate.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. And Farmfest is probably a great place where you can see that happen.
And what doesn't go better with bacon?
Well, everything's better. Bacon.
Yeah, so I mean,
There you go. You could get the pork producers to bring over some bacon on a sandwich. That could
Yeah,
there
they
we
would
go.
take it up.
we'd have it then.
We would. That would be fantastic.
All right, there we go. Well, I appreciate you guys filling in for Mark here today.
All right.
We won't tell Mark, you know, that maybe we'll make this a regular gig. I don't know.
Yeah. Ashley's coming after your job, Mark.
Yeah, watch out. Yeah, watch out.
That's Mike Landit and Ashley Coles here in the Beef News and Notes program. We'll be back. Actually, I'm going to be wrapping up here on Facebook Live and on KLGR 1490 AM and FM 95.9 here this afternoon. Again, thanks to our sponsors who make all this possible. Ag Country Farm Credit Services, Farmers Union Industries, Integrity Bank Plus in Wabasso and Walnut Grove, Overload Accounting Office, Esteban Franklin Munschauer and Geist Limited, Carl Insurance Agency, Wanda State Bank, Lesage Reynolds and Walter Limited, Redwood Tire Service, Syngenta Seeds with Golden Harvest Corn and Ed K Soybeans, K&S Millwrights and NS Fed Seeds. And a special thank you to the folks at the State Cattlemens Association for letting me hijack their VIP tent here today to do the program live, and I appreciate that and everything they're allowing me to do. And now, having to smell that beef, I think I'm going to have to go in and get a sandwich because I'm getting a little hungry. So, Tobin, I'm going to let it go back to you. Central Livestock coming up next, brought to you by Co-op Country Farmers Elevator, located in Olivia, Danube, Brenville, and Sacred Heart, and online at coopcountry.com.
Are you going to have a sandwich?
Facebook Live, I'll see you later.